Kia ora, and welcome to Kukan's Language Week. Connect me to the soils of my ancestors. Atui iau, ki te one one, o taku ui tupuna. Well, Kukan's Language Week, this week we are going to have a look at the journeys of some of our elderlies who came to New Zealand. You know, the challenges they went through because of the language. It's important that we understand this journey so we know our way forward. It's going to be in English so our youth can understand it. Ako naman kima ko te Metua, ka ere atu te naro te reo papa, ia marama me te ki tā tātou o mapu. Ia ka pēa te Metua I te ame koni, te kawenga no rātou I te apaianga I tō tātou reo ki te uki ki mua.
My name is Teariki Veiao. My other siblings over here was already here and wanted me to come. And then I was only 18 at that time, and this other thing on my mind to further my education to that level. No, English was good because I again refer back at school that we're not allowed to speak Māori. No, you get disciplined if you speak Māori at school. This is in the outer island in the Cook Islands. That was it, you know. If there's the prefect at schools, they come around on the field, you know, at lunchtimes and all that. They watch you if you and your friends are speaking in your language, in the Māori language. They put your name down, and then there's detentions after school. You get punished. Yeah, everyone I suppose have English name. They try to pin an English name on you. Like myself, I still got my English name.
What's your English?
Derek.
Derek.
Which I hated. I had to go and correct my the banks and all that. Well, I kind of like it, but you know, it make it easier for the others. In some homes, they can go serious about our language. In some homes, they don't really bother about it. I think especially I think as time goes, the younger generations, they probably will be finding hard to speak the language, and that's coming at twice the problem with the language. But if I were them, they need to try hard. Even our own kids, we have to teach them, try hard to, you know, we are not really serious about it, and then there's no language. We're not thinking about ourselves today, we're thinking about the future.
I got no ambition to come to New Zealand. I was just brought by my elder brother, Teuamua, and I don't know what am I doing over here and why I come here. I never any idea what will happen. I got nothing, didn't even understand any English at all, nothing, no English, because I hadn't been taught in it. And even I can't even read. That's a big problem for me. Even when I came over here to New Zealand, and the first job I used to be, you know, to go in the prison work. I attended there as a youth as a youth. And we were receiving $22 for 40 hours those times. You know, the money wasn't that good. I didn't even, went into study. I know quite a few people asked me to go and study more, but I didn't bother. I just carry on the job. And I couldn't believe that I pick up the English just on the job. By reading the newspaper, you know, the Herald. I taught myself how to speak. Still now, I'm still pronouncing funny words, especially in the English nowadays. It's so hard. Oh, there was our own people, even though some Maoris, they laugh at me when I when I say the word wrongly, and even some Pākehā. But there was an old man. He said to me, you keep on saying pronounce the word and keep on reading the Herald. The Herald is my teacher. And I keep on reading the Herald all the couple of years, and ever since I left the work. Sometimes it's hurt, but to me, I ignore it. And then the other thing is, as soon as my English improve a little bit, and those people who laughed at me and they say to me, "Oh, they got surprised. Oh, did you go to school? Have you been to school?" And I say, "No, I never been to school. I only look at, the Herald, and then, my best page on the reading the Herald was the business column, where I pick up on quite a few hard words from there, and I pronounce a word, what I see on the paper in a funny way." And then the other thing, because we've been told by our priest, Father Brugman, it's much better for you people to learn your language at home and teach your own children. And now, all my Pukapuka people got surprised, and they told I took my kids to Pukapuka, but they'd never been to Pukapuka or Nassau, where I come from, and they understand Pukapuka language clear, and they can translate the English now, because at home I always speak Pukapuka to them, and they say to me, "Papa or Dad, it's hard for us to understand you." And I say, "I know, but you must try and learn how to speak Pukapuka." Now they are very proud because they can speak Pukapuka, even they can speak Cook Island.
Maybe for me and for my husband, we didn't quite find a challenge in the way of communication and the language. There was no Cook Island language or anywhere around, so everything was in English. And so when you apply your job at the time, it's all in English. Everything is in English, so it wasn't that bad for us. We didn't know many people around us, and for those that I believe have struggled with the language, the jobs they got at the time, it was through word of mouth. And I think that was the number one communication in those days. We didn't have to apply. You go to your friends, the family, they take you to work, introduce you to their bosses, and they communicate through the person that's already been there. And I believe that's how we got our jobs over here. So in the way of communicating to get a job, I don't think we struggled in that way because we were using other smart avenues. Yeah, I think I actually spoke more of our Cook Island language here with our family, with our friends, especially in a country where there are fewer of us and that we are comfortable with communicating each other. For example, we meet up with people like our next door neighbours from Meitaki, Mauke, Mangaia, and the other islands, and therefore our language was still there right up to now. It's only when they went to work at the time they would try and communicate in English. But I believe in those days, the few words of English, the few understanding, the few phrases they learned about English, that helped them where they were in the way of communicating with employers in those days. Across the island, everybody wants to know how to speak English. And to us back home, when you can speak English, you can get you a job easily back there. And that was the dominant issue of the time. And sometimes you look down when you can't speak English, and you're somebody special when you're able to communicate and speak English well. And that attitude came with us over here, so that when you invite parents to come to parents' interviews, sometimes you're talking in your own language, they're trying to speak English. When you say to them, look, try and speak Cook Island, try and speak the reo to the tamariki. But they forget that. And even the grandmothers, they try to speak in English. And so that's where our weakness has been, because we, in our background, are also wanting and trying to learn the Papa'a language. No, believing that this will take us further in the future with a job. And so with the children, they started, to forget because the language was not there. Instead of encouraging the students to take up Cook Island language, I'm speaking for myself, when I was a teacher, instead of encouraging the student to take up a Cook Island language, they say to them, what's the point of learning your language? You're not going to speak your reo at work. You're not going to find a job where you can, where they will ask you questions in Cook Island Māori. And so that, I believe, and because of also their attitude, the children, they say to themselves, I'm sure they're saying to themselves, then why do I want them to learn my language? So much of the problem I blame as parents. And the sad thing is, my generation can speak Cook Island Māori, and I feel for the next generation after, which I believe they can speak. But when you listen to their language, like we call it plastic Cook Island language, I don't want to say this, but it is those generations which are the mothers of today, the grandmothers of today. We are the great grandmothers. And so from our generation backwards, I think we're actually losing if we don't come back and embrace our language again. Even today, the biggest struggle and challenges that we have is bringing our people together to learn the language. The question we should ask is, do you know your history? Do you know who you are? Because when you know who you are, then you will take pride in what you own, what you have, and what you know.